Hi everyone, my name is Fateme Zare. I'm from General School of Environment and Society, ANU. I'm going to speak about system dynamics, actually systems thinking in water resource management, starting with which part of the thing I'm interested about and the application in water resource systems. One of the main things that we need for making sustainable decision making is understanding and analyzing the water resources system and understanding well how the system is working. The system approach makes a holistic understanding of the system and facilitate the conceptualizing the problems. Just reviewing the two main fundamental loops of system thinking. In the system dynamic, we have two different kind of loops. I'm telling this just because I'm going to use it a lot during the presentation. The reinforcing loops means the loops that they are empowering themselves, and after a while, they will be increasing or decreasing rapidly. Balancing loops are the loops that try to control the systems. They're gonna to control and balance the happening of the systems and changes in the system. I'm gonna to use system archetypes in the in one application in water resources management. But what archetype means? The archetype is made of a specific combination of the reinforcing and balancing loops. It can be made of two or more than two balancing and reinforcing loops together. Each of them tell a story and tell a pattern of the behavior that system is showing. These archetypes usually are the common stories that repeat, that occur repeatedly in different contexts. It can be in water resource system, it can happen in the social problem, in business, management, everywhere. So these are recognized, many of them are recognized, and for each of the archetype, we have the selected solution. So if we recognize the archetype, we can find out how we can stop it and how we can control it. Recognizing the archetypes will give the decision maker insight into the potential future consequences and side effects of their decision. And it can help them to understand the root of the causes of the problem, not just the impact and the surface of the problem. In the same time, it can be used as a conceptualizing technique for the further modeling and more detailed modeling. The first step of breaking any dynamic archetype in the system is to understand them well. The case study that I use this method is Gorgan Road Karasu case study. Is located in Iran, northeast of the Iran, next to Caspian Sea. The basin has a mild climate with a good rainfall. Everything is good in this basin, base of the environment. But it has many problems as well. So the Gorgan Road Karasu economy basically is dependent on the services, which is mainly tourism, because it has a good environment, good dense forest, beautiful mountain. Beside that, they have good agriculture as well, and a little industry. I used the simple methodology for system dynamic analysis of this basin. I started a pre-assessment step, which means that I had a field visit. I speak and had an interview with the people who lived in the basin, with the experts and decision makers, managers, and I got their first idea of what are the challenges in the basin. Then I had reviewed the reports and the researchers, in different sectors of the like environment, ecology, social, and ecological, focus on the water resources actually. And then based on this pre-assessment, I had the causal loops diagram, the detailed one, and then in each step you should check the facts actually, because sometimes people will tell you something that is not based on the true facts, it's based on what they guess. So for proving that, you need facts, even if you find just one report or you find the data, but you need something to fact that one. Or you should just refer to the people's speech, but if it repeated many times. Based on this fact check and the causal loop diagram, I got the archetypes and start to speak about what these archetypes will mean in this case study and how we can use them to do the water resource assessment. Okay, the main issues is that I gained from the interviews and the reports were, first of all, it was growing water demand. It means that in the past years, like 50 years, many dams were built in this basin, and many wells as well. But all of the time, we had demand that is not recovered. So always we had water shortage. And this demand is growing. The other things that people mentioned, but I didn't find any fact for that in the first step, was land use changes. People said that the forest is going out, we don't have enough forest, we don't have the forest as we did 50 years ago. And if you just have a look at the Google Earth picture, you find out, yeah, within the dense forest, you find a pointed that is like somebody cleared that area. And it's agriculture area, or you can find villages, or you can find something that is like a factory or something, which needs to be analyzed more. Besides these things, there is always, every year there is flood in this area. Every year in the middle of the summer, a huge flood happens. In the last 10 years, it happened several times, and each time the damage were more than the previous time. And at the same time, people said that, oh, we have sediment problem. The dams are filling out with the sediment. All of these problems and challenges were, people speak about these things separately. They said that we have flood problem, we have sediment problem, and different decision makers start to set up the teams and researchers to research about or find out the reason of the sediment or flood or water demand problem. But we start to think about all of them with each other. Let's see how water thinking can help us to understand this problem and challenges better. If we look at the data, we find out during the last 40 years, the population of the basin grew up so rapidly, and that in the same time, the water consumption increased as well in the different sectors, but the agriculture was the main one. This is the causal loop of the water consumption problem. It's a detailed one. Basically, it speaks about the main three economy sector that I mentioned before: the industrial water need, the services water need, and the agriculture one, and how they are reinforcing and how they are increasing during the time. Which means that when you give more water to industry, it will produce more GDP, and after a while, it will be richer, it will grow up, and more people will start working in the industry. And this reinforcing will continue. At the same time, these reinforcing loops are using the same limited water resources which cannot cover this loop forever. And sooner or later, this system will collapse. Showing this detailed causal loop to the decision maker will make them confused. It's so complex to be understood. So I made it a little more simple. This one shows that the main idea of the previous one, which is limit to growth archetype. Limit to growth archetype tell the story of the problem when you start to use a limited resource, which couldn't be continue forever. And if you don't control the reinforcing loop, this system will collapse. So it will give the decision maker the idea of thinking about how they can control the driver and show them what is the driver of water demand. In this case, the population were the main driver of the water demand problem. If we think about the water demand problem in another way, we find out each time that we had water shortage, people start to think how they can supply more water for people. So they made a dam. After a while, there was water shortage again. It happens some years after that. So they made the second dam. After a while, it happened again, the third one, and then the fourth one. Oh, the dams wasn't enough. So they start to make wheels. The number of the wheels in this basin increased rapidly. Besides this data, we know that 50,000 illegal dams were built in this basin. So it means that people are using more water and more water. But we tried to solve this problem several times. Why it comes back to us rapidly? We call this problem fixes that fail archetype, which means that after a while, when you fix the symptom of the problem and you don't pay attention to fundamental driver of the problem, it comes back to you after a while, sometimes bigger and stronger. In this case, when people supply more water and cover the water shortage, it gives people the wrong message of we have enough water. So they continue the way that they used water, and they continue they continue that reinforcing loops. So we can see that each time that the dams were built, the agriculture area increased as well. And this is the same data that shows that the consumption of the water increased as well. In case of the flood problem, decision makers usually tend to use the constructional solution for this problem. So each time that they had the problem of the flood, they think that making dams or dikes can help to solve the problem. By making dams or dike as a short-term response to the problem, the impact and symptom of the problem was cleared. So after a while, people forgot that there is a problem, which names is flood. So they forget about the fundamental solution and long-term solution that can be the land use management. This is the data of how the investment in the construction or development projects. And as I said, we had the land use problem. Nobody paid attention to this, the connection between land use problem and the flood problem together. So this is the Landsat image of 1990 and the classification of the land use and how it changed during the time. And analyzing them shows that the forests really decreased, and it's not just things that people think about. It really happened. And at the same time, you can see that the urban area has increased a lot. So it can be a fact that we said that population is one of the reasons of this problem. Okay, maybe in the conclusion, I would like to say that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking method that we create them. In this case, the decision makers or people who manage plan this area, they use the thinking model which tend to use constructional solution and not paying attention to the long-term solution. And they think about the problems as the isolated problem and not connected one. So maybe the main problem of this basin is not the increasing demand or flood or land use problem. The main reason of this basin can be lack of integrated approach in the management and decision-making approach. So, yep, thank you.
Any questions for Fateme?
Just runs parallel to this Chinese story that happened in the news recently about the lake that closed businesses and people running around wild and saying what I'm going to do with my hotel because they couldn't sustain the by the lake businesses anymore. With your particular scenario, is it coming this way when you say that is our threshold, we can't go over and it will be closed and no one invited, or it is a different solution and you can balance it? And can we balance it for Chinese as well?
Actually, for if I get the point of the question right, actually for like saying what solution is good for them, it's better to assess the real problem and all of the elements were involved in the problem. But I can say, yeah, the architects usually